Welcome to my Florida, the steamy, wild wetlands. This is no Disney World, it's the Everglades. And I'm the top of the food chain. An alligator. The name's Gus. But most of the animals hereabouts call me the King of the Everglades. Believe it or not, when I was young, I dreamed of being someone else, a crocodile. It was a dream that led me into a heap of adventure. You like adventure? Then get ready for my tale from the wild.
Listen to the mighty noise, tales of danger, tales of joy. Watch these wild lives unfold, stories like they've not been told before. Tales from the wild, even now the road. Tales from the wild, roaring, splashing, they'll tales from the wild.
Come with us, we'll show you more.
Got a world to explore. Tales from the wild.
It all began on a day so hot, even the trees were looking for shade. I was born into an ancient and ornery clan. Gators rule the glades. Maybe that's why the state of Florida looks like a gator leg to me, in which case its foot is covered by the humongous swamp known as the Everglades. That's where my family lives, in a pond called a gator hole. We practically own these freshwater pools that lots of other critters depend on. My mama built her nest next to a pleasant enough pond. For 2 months, she kept a watchful eye out for the big moment when my sisters, brothers, and I would hatch in our nest. Good thing, too, 'cause while we were calling to Mama to come get us out of that mound of leaves and grass, we were overheard by a varmint who fancied young gator meat. Mama may have weighed 200 pounds, but she could sneak up silent as a snake. That skunk had to hightail it out of there before Mama made him into stinky pie. She dug us out of that nest before you could say home sweet swamp, and not a moment too soon, 'cause it was downright cramped in there. Mama had a funny way of cozying up to us. With one chomp of her jaws, I'd have been mincemeat. But instead, I got a ride just as gentle as a baby in a stroller. My mama could see we needed some room to move, so she got us to the water quickly. As I paddled around, life seemed mighty fine. But that was before I talked to Eddie. There he is, my favorite brother. He was the adventurous one of the bunch.
Gus,
He used to say to me,
this pool's too small for a couple of big thinkers like us. We should break out of here and head for the coast. That's where the action's at.
A fresh deep gator hole is where I'm from. It's like a great big crowded aquarium, and there's lots of hungry critters there with eyes for guys like me. Now being a moving target makes me mad, and there's more to life than hiding in a lily pad. And I heard that the ocean side has room to ride the tide. Let's go beyond the pond. You're on a mission. This gator's got to be moving on. You've made a sad decision. Wag my tail and up in the salt sea air. Crocodiles, crabs, and sharks are living there. If I cross the sawgrass prairie, I can make it to the shore. Let's go beyond the pond. You're on a mission. Follow my nose to see what's going on. You've made a big decision. Wag my tail and wave goodbye. I've got my eye on what's beyond the pond.
Like a lizard hit by a lightning bolt, I suddenly saw what Eddie meant. Spending your life in a little hole was for the birds. And some alligators, unfortunately. I thought of all the animals in the Everglades, the ones over in the ocean had the best life. My cousins, the crocodiles. I couldn't understand why they should get all the fun. After all, we were kinfolk. Granted, we're not exactly alike. A crocodile's snout is pointy, and gators have rounder noses. We're not the same color either. Grown-up gators are dark all over. The croc's hide stays light. And of course, the croc lives in the salty ocean. We gators stick to fresh water. But I thought the only difference that really mattered was the croc had the whole wide ocean coast to explore, and I was stuck in an itty-bitty inland pond. I made up my mind I'd find my crocodile cousins and live with them. Every moment after that, I thought of nothing else. Uh-oh, daydreaming's not the smartest thing to do with a hungry hunter like the great blue heron around. After polishing off old fish face, the heron looked right at me. I sent out the alarm. Hurry, Mama, or I'm bird food! The only place I felt safe in that awful hole was right next to my mother. Safety wasn't first on everyone's mind, however. Eddie was bound and determined to find the crocodiles.
Look, Gus! I bet the ocean is that way!
But the only thing in that direction was danger. I guess the snapping turtle wasn't hungry, or he would have gobbled up my brother in a flash. But Eddie's luck dried up. He looked just like a fishing lure to a largemouth bass. His last words to me were,
Gus! Keep on searching for the crocodiles! Don't give up!
With the start of the rainy season, the heavens opened up. My tears were falling just as hard. Without Eddie, it'd be no fun in that pond. But I had learned something from his untimely end. I'd have to get a lot bigger before I started my own search for the crocodiles. Otherwise, I might end up as somebody's lunch too. I needed to eat before I got eaten, and that meant learning how to hunt. Apple snails are tasty, but how to get past that hard shell? I tried an attack that all the grown-up gators use. It's called spinning, and it's a good way to tear your dinner apart. Whew, but all it seemed to do was make me dizzy. Even when I managed to snag a snack like a caterpillar, there was no guarantee I'd get to enjoy it. Food fight! I'm telling you, Just getting one square meal in that pond was a battle. For really good victuals, you had to dive to the bottom. A crayfish. I dragged my prize off and hid while I ate it so I could eat in peace this time. With practice, I became an excellent predator, a hunter, not the hunted. I just knew I'd impress those crocodiles. But there was one small problem. I didn't know where to look for those crocs. Then, one day I spied a juicy-looking grasshopper. I was about to charge when she stopped me in my tracks.
Listen, whippersnapper. Everyone knows that my flesh tastes terrible. But my advice is sweet. Spare me, and I'll share my wisdom.
I thought she was just stalling.
Oh, nice teeth. Listen, I know the way to reach your crocodile dream.
She did know something. My heart skipped a beat.
You must follow the river of grass. But first, you must survive the Everglades' most terrible test, the dry season.
The grasshopper's words gave me a chill, even in the heat of the day. The dry season. What was I in for? At first, I couldn't see why the grasshopper had made such a fuss about the dry season. Seemed like a good deal to me. See, without rain, the water level in the gator hole drops. There's too many fish in too little water, and they can't breathe. Which for predators like gators means the living is easy. I was catching fish faster than mosquitoes hatch in the swamp. All those fish cakes were helping me grow bigger by the day. But then it got really hot. I mean, toast your tail feathers weather. Our gator hole was very deep, so unlike some of the neighboring pools, it almost never ran dry. Pretty soon, critters from all over the place started dropping by. The birds were okay, but when some strange gators moved in, things got downright scary. With all those short-tempered grown-up gators hanging around, I stayed out of the way. We gators don't like sharing our turf very much, and Mama's nose was a little out of joint about all those uninvited guests. My sister Annie never did have much sense. She crossed one big male and found herself on the wrong end of the food chain. Ooh, I didn't want to be the next gator burger. It was high time to say adios. I wiped the water of home from my feet and launched my search for the crocodiles. The great river of grass is crisscrossed with ancient trails. Most just lead to the next gator hole, but I knew one would take me to the big blue sea. Question was, which one? As I wandered hot and thirsty, I didn't have a clue. Only my dream of the crocodiles swimming in their splendid ocean world kept me going. I imagined all the exotic and delectable seafood my cousins might be chowing down on right then. "Do you like seafood?" they would ask me. "Do I?" I'd tell them. "Why, I just see food, and I like it." But my daydream was broken by a slithering stranger, a rat snake. Hungrily I eyed him. But once again, my meal started talking to me.
Croc-seeker, are you prepared for the danger in the sea?
"I have always lived with danger," I said.
You don't know the meaning of the word danger yet. Mark my words. To reach your crocodiles, you must cross the horrible Black Trail, where many a reptile has been flattened, and then beware the danger in the sea.
As I wandered through the sawgrass, the snake's words tormented me like the sun beating down on my back. This black trail did look dangerous, but what danger could be in the sea? I was scared, but mostly I was dry. It'd been almost 2 weeks since I'd had a good soak. Any longer, I might not have made it. What? Here was a sight for sore eyes. A gator hole. The bluest, most beautiful gator hole I'd ever seen. But where were the insects, the birds, the delish fish? All that time in my mama's hole, I'd grumbled that it was too crowded. Now I'd have given anything for someone to talk to, or better yet, someone to eat. I knew I had to keep moving on. The seasons passed there in the sawgrass. I went from hole to hole looking for clues. There were times when food and water were so scarce, I nearly died. But I survived to follow my dream. And then, just as I began to lose hope of ever finding the crocodiles, I reached a body of water that tasted absolutely horrible. The ocean. I'd finally found it. And there, swimming along the shore, was the most peculiar-looking alligator I'd ever seen. My cousin's name was Cleo, and she was a young and beautiful crocodile. Though I'll admit her nose was a bit pointy for my taste. I was overwhelmed with joy, and she seemed pleased to meet me too.
Hey, what do you think y'all doing just swimming right into my waters?
I told her I was Gus the Gator, and I'd come to live with her.
Listen, Gussie, you may be crocodilian, but you're no crocodile. A gator can't stay long in the salty sea. You're a great big fish out of water.
Aw, see, Cleo didn't get it. Now that I'd found her, I aimed to stay. What did she know about crowded gator holes? I wanted the free and open life of a crocodile.
Free and open? Fish sticks. Let me let you in on a little secret about life as a crocodile. You gotta be tougher than the rest. I was born on an island, a mighty long swim from here. You had your mama standing by to help you out of your nest, but my mother was gone fishing when I hatched. My cries were answered by someone with supper on his mind. If that raccoon thought I was just gonna lie down and take it, he had another thing coming. I showed him my teeth just like a grown-up croc would do. Did I actually scare that bandit off? Or was he just full from already feasting on my family? I'll never know. No tender mama carried me to the water. A ghost crab blocked my path. He'd have eaten me as soon as look at me. Everywhere I went on my island home, there were enemies lying in wait. One of my brothers was taken by a heron. My sister was snatched by a crab. By the end of the first day, nearly half my family was gone. I knew I had to get off that island. I decided to cross the bay to the mainland. It'd be a long trip, so I filled up on beach fleas before leaving. They're little, but there's lots of them, and it's no work catching them. Just open up wide and plop, plop, those fleas, they drop right in. Yum, yum, yum. I waited until dark so I wouldn't be so easily seen by predators. And I'm not talking herons here. Circling my island were nurse sharks. I would have been a goner for sure if I hadn't come up for air just when they might have spotted me. Keeping very still, I floated along like a piece of driftwood.
I know you're trying to scare me, Cleo, but I'm not afraid of sharks or herons or any of those guys. Living with you's been my dream since I was a hatchling.
Oh, you're brave, all right, cousin. But you should know there's one more peril in these waters, and it's the worst of all. So, you think it's a regular party being a crocodile? Well, that was before the danger in the sea. Don't you wonder why you see so few crocs? Though we are shy creatures, we're not just hiding out somewhere. We've been wiped out by an alien invasion. There's less than 500 of us crocs left hereabouts. And if humans keep moving into our territory, they could wipe us out altogether.
I felt sick in my gizzards. The noise alone would make any sensible critter crazy. Those blades tearing at a body. Oh, I could face fins and fangs, but not this. I knew at last that the right place for me was a nice, snug gator hole where the biggest threat came from other gators, the way nature intended. Cleo, I said, thanks for the hospitality, but you can have your ocean world. Seems to me there's a freshwater pond not too far from here that has my name on the mailbox.
All right, well, I'll see you later, alligator.
You like the seaside, swimming up and down the coastline. I've got it made in the Everglades. A freshwater pond feels fine. We both need a nice place to romp. Everybody's got to bump bump. The swamp boogie.
Later, alligator.
Swamp boogie.
After all, crocodile.
Swamp boogie. That's an alligator's life. We're living in a river home. Oh, we got to share the space. If you're dropping in for a neighborly swim, don't expect a friendly face. You might not like the way we greet you. We don't shake hands, we'd rather eat ya. Swamp boogie.
Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Swamp boogie.
Bump,
tough around here.
Bump, she bump, she bump. Bump, she bump, she bump.
Swamp boogie.
Grab your partner.
Swamp boogie.
Spin him to the right.
Swamp boogie. That's an alligator. Swamp boogie. Oh, swamp boogie. That's an alligator. Life.
Well, after another little search, I found the perfect home. A big gator hole full of life and wonderment. And you know what? I've discovered I actually like the company of other gators. At least one in particular. Yeah, we gators aren't bashful about showing our affection. My gal's name is Rita, and she loves it when I sing and dance. Shake it, baby. And you know what? We're expecting some hatchlings of our own in a few months. If there's a boy in the bunch, I'll name him after my brother Eddie. And one of the girls will be Cleo, of course. Now, you might wonder if I ever feel silly about that dream of mine to live with the crocodiles. Nah. It helped me discover I'm glad to be me, an alligator. The king of the Everglades. After a while, crocodile.